I was charging her. Gotta... Okay. What's going on? Is it working? Hello, hello.
Hello. Oh, sorry, it's a little laggy on my end.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Um,
Oh, I can't hear you. Let me see. Um, that might be mine.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Or
yeah, I can hear you.
okay, perfect. Yeah.
No, yeah, sounds good. Okay, no, awesome. I thought I was having some issues on my side. How's it going?
Hey, good. What about you?
It's going great. It's going great. So really quickly, wait. I don't want to like butcher your name. So how would I pronounce your name? Is it Joanne or how would I pronounce it?
Yes, it's Joainne. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, yeah, no, awesome, yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, it's awesome to finally meet you. You know, I'm Christopher. But I actually saw, you were actually interning right now, right, through the business society process.
Yes. Mhm.
Oh, okay, no, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I don't think we've had the chance, to meet one on one, but that's awesome. Yeah, I'm actually the director of the entrepreneurship department for business society. But yeah, this is something I kind of do in my own time. It's my own personal business. But I mean, kind of before we get into that, I actually wanted to just kind of ask like what you thought about the workshop like that I invited you to last time.
I feel bad that I did get in late, so I wasn't able to engage in the questions.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, it was really nice listening to the speaker and the other people that were there. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much again for inviting me to that.
No, yeah, no worries. That's actually, like one of my business partners. His name is Tree. But no, yeah. I mean, kind of before we get into things, I kind of, just want, to like let I don't want this to be like an interview. I want, pretty much, just get to know you, see if our goals, see if our values align. So you don't have to be like, like all perfectly like that. Like I don't want it to be like an interview. I just, pretty much just trying to get to know you, and also you get to know me because I know we were just, pretty much just pictures on LinkedIn before this. So yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah, I kind of wanted to share a little bit about myself, because I'm not sure if you've seen, my LinkedIn. Yeah, that's just like kind of like my social media life. But yeah, a little bit about myself. My name is Christopher Castañeda Rodriguez. I'm a second year here at UC Merced, and if I'm being completely honest with you, I was not the same person I was, 1 year ago. Like my first year in college, I was, really introverted. Like not, I wouldn't say introverted, but I was kind of just scared to like step out of my comfort zone. So that's why I decided to get into business society. And also, I was just really big into, like kind of, like not very focused in, my academics, like going out, partying, doing all those, kind of crazy things like drinking and smoking, kind of doing stuff like that. And so it wasn't really benefiting me. And I was like, man, like, how can I do better? Like my grades are going down, like I gotta lock in. So I was like, all right,
Yeah.
let me do like a whole 180. And pretty much, like it was winter break. I went back home, kind of, talked to my parents, things like that. But you know, I was also, I'd say kind of going through a lot. And so I kind of was, I'd say, like just hanging around like a very negative association when it came to like friend wise. I'd say I wasn't like the best at really
Mm,
selecting them. And
mhm,
because of that, it wouldn't lead me, to like the best paths, especially here in school. But kind of, I'd say maybe like going back a little bit further, um, just like growing up in general, was always kind of, I'd say like a little bit of a challenge, just
mm,
because, my parents, they kind of, came here not really, having jobs, not, just like my mom was like 7, my dad was 16. But I'd say, just like always kind of struggling, I'd say like not just financially, but when it came to, like also, picking the right association, because I'd always hang around, I'd say the wrong crowd of people and always just try to fit in, kind of act cool. But, I was kind of seeing that that didn't really like lead me, to like the best places. So growing up, I wasn't, hanging around like the right sort of people. My mom kind of saw that. So like in my high school years, I was around like what? I was a freshman in high school, and because I wasn't hanging around the right people, I actually ended up getting arrested on New Year's Eve, and so that really disappointed my parents, and I felt really bad too, because I was like, man, none of my friends, got arrested. It was just me. Like, what the heck? I was hanging out with all them. But not even just that, but like really like hurting my parents. It wasn't like, oh man, like they're mad at me, like, like I hate you, but it was more like they're just disappointed because they didn't really see that coming. And so
yeah.
I was like, man, I feel obligated to like, want to give back to them after, being such a burden to them. And so I was like, all right, you know what? Like, let me get my things together. My mom, she pretty much just moved me school districts, and she's like, I know you're a good kid, Christopher. It's just the people you're hanging around with. And so, once I got out of juvenile hall, it was like about like a month where I was kind of just like, trying to like trying to get back into school. But my mom ended up, putting me into continuation school and then transferring me to another school. But yeah, I mean, it was just a lot of like back and forth going to other schools, and then I actually entered a
Mm,
program called Avid. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it or not. And so that program actually helped me, kind of like, like rethink like, what I want to do with, let's say, like my life goals and college goals, because I really didn't even want to go to college. I kind of just saw my brother working like 2 jobs, making a lot of money, and I was like,
mm,
man, I want to do that. He bought himself a nice BMW, but what I wouldn't realize is that, he would just drive that car to and from work. So I was like, man, all right, how can I do something, that I'm not giving up so much of my time, but I'm still gonna make some money on the side. And so
mm,
I'd say pretty much it's like kind of going back to where like my story where I was actually like thinking of going to college was that teacher, she kind of pushed me. She's like, Christopher, I see something in you, that you might not be seeing in yourself yet, but she kind of just shared with me how I should plan on going to college. And I was like, well, my grades aren't that good. I have like a 3.4 GPA. I was like, I don't think any colleges are gonna accept me. I applied a bunch of CSUs, and then I applied to UCs, and I really didn't want to write the essays, but I still did. And so, UC Merced was the only one that accepted me. I ended up coming
mm,
here, had a really great mentality. Then I kind of, started hanging around the wrong crowd again. But yeah, I feel like everything's kind of just like you gotta kind of like live, learn. But not until I actually started my own business and kind of started to actually like plug myself into like the system and wanting to learn and grow. Um, this business that I'm doing isn't just like a business, but it's like a mentorship. And so that's why, I'm kind of like talking and say highly about it is because, it's been able to change me in a really positive way when it comes to, like actually staying sober, when it comes to, actually like wanting to like, have good values and goals and actually like, do things to like grow, like actually reading a book because I would not read at all. Like reading was not my strong suit, and like listening to like, like motivational, like inspirational audios, from like other, business owners. And so, it's impacted me a lot, even with like my people skills, my like confidence when it comes to like getting jobs. Like it helped me even get a job at Wells Fargo. And so, just all these little skills that I've been able to pick up, like soft skills that, yes, Business Society was able to help me and offer me some, but with this business, I was really able to like level up and like also, kind of like really sharpen my axe when it came to those skills. But yeah, that's a little bit about me. I know that's kind of a lot, kind of like jumping around, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of give you like a clear picture of me because like I don't want you to, oh my gosh, this guy's like perfect. But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
got it. I'm so glad that like you were able to like get through that and everything. Like it sounds like you've went through such a journey, and like we're both the same year and everything, which is something like that. I feel like I do compare a lot. So forgive me for that, but
No, you're
yeah,
good.
like it's just like I do want to like start like my own business one day, like a small one, like selling my art and everything.
Hmm.
Um, like and like sorry, I know that my internet might be a little unstable. I don't know if like
No, all good.
can you hear me well
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah. I can hear you.
okay, perfect. Um, no, but yeah, like um, is there like something like specific you want to hear from me, or like is it just like we're able to like talk or?
No, yeah. I mean, yeah. I kind of just want to like hear your thoughts, but I mean, I kind of want to ask, like, if you can like kind of like tell me a little bit about yourself, maybe like some background.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm also a second year. I got into UC Merced very similar because it was like the only one that accepted me and it had
Mm,
really good financial aid. So
yeah,
I got on that. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I've been trying to like take advantage of like all these resources that are on campus, like for sure, because very similar to you, I do feel like it is like I do want to like do a lot more for my family just because like I'm a global arts major.
Mm,
Um, and like looking at that is like it's not, being like a doctor or like going in for like STEM like type majors and everything. So
yeah.
I feel like I have a lot more to prove to my parents to be like, okay, I have something going on. Like,
Mm,
yeah. So that's why I'm kind of like seeking out like stuff like this, like the business society and everything. Like luckily that internship was like really great. I really loved the workshops and everything. I was so glad to get that experience. I just did my last interview. I believe it was on Thursday.
okay.
So yeah, like I'm officially like done with that before going into the like presentation that we
Mm,
have coming up.
yeah.
So yeah. Um, but yeah, like think I've been okay with like everything. So I'm just trying to like get by and like use all these like things that are around. But yeah.
No, yeah, of course. No, yeah. That's awesome. And yeah, like that, like that's actually really cool to hear. So like, I'm kind of curious, like, what made you kind of choose like global arts as like your major? Because I know you said you feel like you have like a little bit more to prove like to your parents. What kind of
Mhm.
like made you want to like go into that?
I feel like I look up to my sister a lot, and my sister, she's going into like psychology, but like she's like one of the smartest people that I know, and she was like telling me that um, he really wants to see me do something that I enjoy and something
Mm,
that like I'm good at. And it's really nice to be recognized for that because I do enjoy art. I do love making stuff and everything. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, like I'm trying to like pursue that, but of course, like specifically with my dad and everything, I don't know how he feels about it just because he wants like of course my sister is going into psychology. She wants to be a psychiatrist one day.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, he kind of wants me to have a similar position or something that's like can get a lot of money, but he
Yeah.
doesn't know for sure
Yeah.
about art and how it can get me money,
No, yeah,
you
of
know?
course.
So yeah, it's just something that I feel like I have to prove, but it's not like I'm having a horrible time with global arts because I do enjoy it,
No,
right?
yeah.
Like I love all of that. So yeah.
No, yeah, of course, yeah. I actually have, like a business partner, who's actually what was it again? He's doing something very similar to that. I remember, and he's well, it's not arts, but what is it again? It's philosophy, and he's doing it. Why? Because it's something that he likes, and so yeah, I feel like doing things that you like, like it's really cool, because it's a passion you have, for your major. So it's like you're not gonna like not like your job. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, no, I mean that's really cool that you have that passion. I remember when I was in it was high school. I was really big into art as well. Like I did like 3 years of art. I did like regular art just because you have to, and then I did art too because it was kind of fun. And then I did like AP art, and I was like, wait, this is like really cool. So like I became a really good artist when it came to portraits and things like that. And so I mean like I've kind of just like maybe like got those natural skills from my dad because my dad liked to draw a lot too. And now my sister is like a huge artist. Like she loves drawing album covers and stuff like that. And she's only like 11. So I'm like, okay, how are you like drawing this good? But no, yeah, um, no. So I mean, That's like super interesting. But I mean, I'm kind of curious, like what caught your interest in like my message? Because I know I like reached out to you on LinkedIn, and you were interested in wanting to meet up, and then I had that little like entrepreneurial workshop. So like, oh, you know what, like, I think this workshop would benefit you a lot. But what kind of like initially caught your interest? Like when I reached out to you.
I feel like I did notice that you were part of business society in your
Mm,
profile. And so I was just like super interested on that, being able to know more about the people like in business society, because I feel like going into it, like, or before going into it, I was just really nervous, thinking like, oh, everyone's going to be strictly like business, and everything. And so it's like really hard to like, I know it's silly, but like, I felt like, oh my God, like, who are they and everything? Like, what's their, like,
yeah,
what do they got, you know?
yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to meet like the people, get to know more about like their personality and like everything, to see if like it would be my crowd
Mm,
to be in, because like I do want to be in business society, but also I want to like enjoy being in business society like with the
mm,
people. So when you reached out, I did want to like get to know you, and of course like get to know like anything that you were like providing, like the workshop and everything. So that was really great. But yeah, just being able to make connections was something that I like gravitated towards. I was like, I should get out of my shell and like reach out to people. So when you reached out, I was like, okay, no, I gotta respond. So yeah, that was like my mindset behind that. But yeah.
No, like that's actually really cool, because I feel like a lot of people, kind of struggle, nowadays stepping out of their comfort zone. So, like the fact that,
Mhm.
like you like, stepped out of your comfort zone, you're like, you know what, all right, like my goal is to network. So that's awesome, like, that's something I struggled with a lot, my first year, networking and really like trying to make myself known because I'm like, all right, I'm here at college, but like, what am I doing? Like I want to get out there, I want to get
Mhm.
to know more people, like because I feel like something like really important, something that my coach actually told me, and something it's kind of like it's always stuck to me because like she speaks very like profoundly. She was like, Christopher, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. And so I'm like, every time I think that, I'm like, all right, let's just try to talk to like at least like two, three new people today. Like, just hey, how's your day going? And just get to know them because you honestly never know who can be. Like last year, I did that. I was just networking. I gave someone a flyer out, tabling at Business Society, and he ended up being like a founder of like his own business that his like dad had kind of passed down to him, and then he got into Business Society because I gave him that little flyer. So I'm like, wow. And then I made that like connection, that friend, and so like he's his own business owner. He just graduated like last year, so now I have that connection in my LinkedIn, and like it's really awesome. So I feel like just like you taking that first step, to actually like step out there, out of your comfort zone, kind of shows that you want to grow, and that's awesome. But yeah, I kind of wanted to just talk a little bit more also like about like my mentorship, and I kind of wanted to ask like if you've ever kind of been under any type of mentorship, um because when it comes to like I'd say like this business and mentorship, they're like two different things. So yes, we have a business, but something that my mentor, Phil, tells me a lot is that he's like, if you're not gonna let me mentor you in life, then don't ask me to mentor you in business. And when I first heard that, I was like, hmm, man, I don't know if you want like if I want you to mentor my life. So then I was like, nah, just mentor my business, you know.
Mhm.
That I kind of had like that ego, and I was like, all right, you know what, like this guy doesn't know that much about me. Why does he want to mentor my life? Like just mentor my business because that's what I'm here for. Because I was just like money, 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 like just strictly business. But then he
Yeah.
was like, oh, you know what, like. Let me ask you this, Christopher. Like, since you don't want me to mentor your life, let's say your girlfriend breaks up with you, Christopher. Almost to 5 years. Would that affect your business? And I was like, well, yeah, I think it would. And he's like, well, how so? He's like, well, it would affect me emotionally. I wouldn't really want to, like, I wouldn't really feel up. So, I would kind of put it on pause. He's like, exactly. So if you're not going to let me help you, like, coach you in your life, when it comes to, like, your finances, your relationships, relationships and kind of just like work and like my habits, my daily habits, things that I do. He's like, then why should I, even give you time to mentor you in business? Because then it kind of like I'd say shed a little bit more light on me because everything that happens in my life is gonna have a positive reaction, positive or negative reaction to my business. Depending on like what happens. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I like he has a point. So I started to get to know him more, and I started like letting myself be more coachable because that's something I never really was, and I'm still working on. But yeah, when it comes to like I'd say this mentorship, I call it like a 360-degree mentorship. It's like a life mentorship, it's a finance mentorship, and just business and like overall, because like I've been able to get help with like my own personal problems, not just like business related problems. And so that's why I kind of just ask people if they've ever like been mentored before, or like been under any mentorship, just so I can kind of get like a reference point.
So I've never been through like a mentorship. Like I've been through like internships, like I am in college corps and everything, but I
Hmm.
haven't like had a mentor with me. Like of course, like with the business society, the internship part, we did get a mentor and everything, and I have been connected with her. So we were able to like chat, but it's not like been very like how do I put it? Like we haven't really like engaged all too much about like mentor, like
Mm.
mentee and all that. But yeah,
Okay. No, yeah. So you don't have like any experience like when it comes to mentorship then?
no, I don't.
Oh, okay, for sure. No, yeah. I mean, I was kind of just curious, trying to just see, if you ever had like mentorship, or like been any under mentorship. But no, yeah. I mean, like that's pretty interesting. Um, right now, like, are you currently doing anything else besides business society? Like, I know you just finished the interview or like the internship process. Are you doing anything else like besides like, obviously being a full-time student?
Yeah, so like I just mentioned, I am part of college where I've been in it for 2 years now.
Okay.
So I've been like volunteering at the Merced County Library. I also volunteered there as a adult literacy tutor. And I just finished like an Empower program on campus as well, like one of the leadership groups here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've just been trying to get like very involved, very like into like all the leadership type like programs that are around. But yeah.
No, okay, no, yeah, that's awesome. It seems like like you're really active when it comes to like say like actually plugging yourself into like the campus. So all these programs, like, are they like clubs, or are they like just like programs, kind of like internship programs, where like they're only like like a week or a few like weeks like that, or like how do they work?
Yeah. So for like college core, that one is like a 2 semester program where you
Mm.
serve 450 hours in the year.
Mm-hmm.
So that like to a community host site. So mine is the Merced County Library. But like the other programs that I'm in, those are mostly like internship types. So like the Empower program was, I believe, 7 weeks or 6 weeks of a internship.
Mm.
So yeah.
Oh yeah, that's good to know. I just kind of wanted to see, because you know I know a lot of college students, that are like, oh, I'm too busy, have like all these things going on, like I have all these things on my plate. And so, like that was honestly me. I was doing a lot of things. I was like, yeah, I was doing business society. I was also working part time, and then I was also trying to build my business. And then I was like a full time college student,
Mm,
and then like family, I have to like call them and stuff like that. And then
of
I,
course.
I have a
Yeah.
girlfriend, and she always wants my time. She was trying to call me, so I'm like, "Ah, I never really have a bunch of time to like balance everything." But no, yeah, I kind of just wanted to see, like, like, you know, kind of like your schedule, and like like how it would be like. But no, yeah. Um, so I know we kind of mentioned a little bit about like mentorship, and kind of about like what you do, like I said, like in your like daily habits. Um, and it's really interesting to know. But I mean, I kind of actually wanted to ask you like another question, and it's kind of like profound, I'd say. So I mean, I kind of want to ask like if you like can envision yourself, like maybe after college, after like getting your diploma, like how would you like want to like how do you see yourself like living your life like in the future?
Course, I have like thought of it, but it's like not like a concrete plan. Of course, like
Mm-hmm.
you always like try to think about like, okay, what are your next steps and everything. But I feel like, at least for me, like when I get my diploma afterwards, I do want to like take a break from my college. That's
Mm.
my plan at least.
Yeah.
Um, but because like to see how like financial aid and like all that will work for like grad school, because I do want to eventually go to grad school.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I want to try to be a museum curator.
Mm.
Um,
Okay.
that is like one of my goals, but then again, it could change because, of course, like I'm still like exploring a lot of like different things. Like I've been recently getting into like libraries and everything, like public libraries and how to contribute to them.
Mm.
Just because with like my program in college core and like just volunteering, like even in my where I'm from, like in Sanger, I have a library there that I volunteered a couple of like times in the year. So I'm still not totally sure of which direction I'm going to go at.
Mm,
But of course, I'm not like just going to be like, okay, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Like, I still have like a general plan of
yeah.
like what I want to do. Yeah.
Okay, no, yeah, no, yeah, yeah. I mean, I was kind of just, kind of just curious, because actually, like, I talked to a lot of college students, and I kind of asked them, like, oh, what's your plan after college, or like, what do you, like, what are your goals that like once you graduate, and when I asked all my old friends from my first year, most of them didn't really know. They're like, "Oh, I haven't thought that far. Like, I don't have a plan, or not even like a general plan." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I kind of started thinking about like the people I hang around with, and I was like, "All right, maybe my coach was right. Maybe I am the average of the five people I hang around with." Because at the same time, I didn't really have a goal or a plan either. Like, I had like this very vague kind of like thought out plan, but it wasn't really like set in stone. It wasn't like I knew step by step how I wanted to, like go right after college. And so, that's actually something, like that this like mentorship kind of like helped me, do like, really plan out how I want to, like, or like what I want to achieve, like every single year of college. And then actually like after college, like, what I want to do, if I want to go to grad school or not. And, like if I want to like, start working, corporate, right after, college. But, I know I kind of asked you that question, kind of like referred a little bit back into mentorship, but I actually wanted to share a little bit about you, about my mentor. I know I kind of just been saying like my coach and my mentor, but my mentor, his name is actually Phil. Sorry, I know I didn't mention that before, but he actually came to the U.S. when he was about say like 18, 19 years old. He immigrated from Vietnam, and so he flew over, and he worked as a dishwasher. So he had like broken English, and like he like was like not making that much as a dishwasher when he first got here. But you know, because of this opportunity, because of this business, he started expanding himself, growing himself, learning English, and really kind of like defying all the odds. And he actually ended up retiring his mom at 22. Or no, sorry, he retired his mom at 23, and he was able to retire himself at 22. So in the span of like 3 to 4 years, like when he came from Vietnam, he was able to retire himself. And I was like, when I first heard that, I was like, wow, how did he do that? I was like super like intrigued, like, all right, how did this guy retire? Like I've never met anybody that young who's retired. Um, and like when I did it, it's like always on like TikTok or like Instagram or something like that. But
Mhm.
yeah, and then after he kind of retired his mom at 23, he retired his dad at 24, and then he was actually able to sponsor both of them from Vietnam at the age of 25 and flew them to the U.S. And so like his like mid 20s, he was able to like be like financially free and actually like have his parents to be financially free. And so when I heard that story about him, I was really intrigued, and I wanted to meet him. And so just like you, I sat down. I got to meet my business partner, who's kind of who took me through the process. Um, and he pretty much just helped me out, took me through the steps, and around like the third step, I actually got the chance to go to like an in-person meeting, and it was like an in-person business seminar, and it was like my first ever business like like seminar business experience, kind of like how you felt with business side of like, oh man, everybody's gonna be professional, like I don't know the vibe, like man, I'm kind of scared,
Yeah.
so I was like really stepping out of my comfort zone there, and it was like in San Jose, and I'm from like the Bay Area, so like above the Golden Gate Bridge, so it was like an hour and a half drive, and I actually went with my mom. I remember because my mom was like, "No, like you don't know these people. Like, what if they like abduct you? Like, something like." My mom was thinking the worst. My mom was like, "All right, I'm gonna go with you." But my
Yeah.
mom, it's okay. It's a business seminar. Like, I don't think they're gonna steal me. And so my mom took me. We waited there, and I actually went. Ended up going, and I met my mentor for the first time, and it was an awesome experience. I was actually able to talk to him and ask him, these questions. I was like, "Hey, Phil, I introduced myself. My name's Christopher. I kind of walked in there and I was like, oh, I was kind of nervous because, all these like room full of professionals and like, some college students. But, I talked to him like, hey, Phil, I was like, if what you're doing is, legal and ethical, can you be my mentor? And the reason I asked him that question was because yeah, I was really surprised, like how he retired himself at like 22, but I was like kind of skeptical. I'm like, all right, like does this guy scam people? Like I had that skepticism. I'm like, how did like what did he
Mhm.
do to retire at 22? Like I was so curious, and so you know he asked me, he's like, hey Chris, he was like, thousands of people ask me that question, every single event, every single big business seminar like this. He's like, so what makes you different from everybody else? And I was thinking, I was like, man, like that question like had me stumped. I was like, okay, like what makes me different? You know, in a room full of professionals, my tie wasn't even on like the right way. I'm like, oh shoot, like what makes me different? So I think immediately, all right, my resume. I'm like, I've been working since I was 15. Like I have all these like soft skills. Like I know how to talk to people. And so I kind of I took out my resume on my phone. I'm like, all right, Phil, here's my resume. Like look at my phone, and he was like, all right, that like you can put your phone away. He's like, that tells me nothing about you, Chris. And I was like, what? Like, he left me speechless. I was like, what do you mean? He was like, you can literally lie on your resume. He's like, that doesn't tell me anything about you. And then, he was like, what I look for in a business partner is someone who has accountability, someone with integrity. If someone, who says they're going to do something actually does it. And so someone with communication, people who are actually going to be actively wanting to better themselves to communicate and actually keep that integrity and hold themselves accountable. So like if something happens, take accountability for it. And so all these traits he was listing out, was he was looking for character. He wasn't really looking for credentials. And so what I saw at the moment, was like, oh man, I'm not good enough. Like he didn't see potential in me. But what I didn't differentiate was that he was really just saying that he doesn't look for credentials on people. He really looks for a character, for someone's character. Because, when, I actually ended up telling him, that I got arrested when I was younger, how I was like a convicted felon. It's like, okay, like, just because, like, you got that, like, put that on like paper, like the police report, it doesn't mean you are forever. So he looked for character, not really credentials. Just because I had a bad reputation in the past doesn't mean that's who I am today. And so that's what he really looks for. And so when I like try to introduce people to him, I try to introduce people who are actually trying, I'd say like wanting to improve themselves, serious about, wanting to like build themselves up and also,
Mhm.
build up like their, yeah, well, themselves and also like, their own business. But, yeah, that's just a little bit about like, my mentor, Phil. Um, yeah, I mean, that's just a little bit about him. I kind of just wanted to share that just so you obviously like, know who he is. But, yeah, I mean, I kind of just wanted to share like those little few points with you. Um, I'm not sure, if you have like any questions right now, or I mean, if you have like any thoughts, you can kind of just share it out.
Part of it just wants to ask, like, what is your business that you have started, or like, how is that going for
Uh,
you?
no, yeah. So my business right now it's actually going great. I actually run an e-commerce and franchising business. So if you're not familiar with those terms, I can kind of break them down for you. So commerce is like like your Walmart, your Target, big stores like that. I'd say like wholesale stores, and then you put an e in front of it. It's pretty much. I can give you maybe like an example, like Uber or like Airbnb. So Uber. They don't own any cars or don't own any people, right? They just own a platform. It's just an application that pretty much connects people, to a driver who need a ride, or it connects people who need a ride to a driver. Either way, like people can be the driver, be earning the money, or people can request the Uber. And so pretty much what Uber is, it is the middleman. And so because of that, it connects people who need the car, who need to drive, who have the money to pay for the ride. It connects them together. And so pretty much I'd say that like that's like what I do in my business. I pretty much connect people who want my product or service, and I connect them to me in the middle. And so I pretty much just like word of mouth, just reach out to them. Hey, how's your day going today? Pretty much just share my product or service, and and I connect them together like that. And so when it comes to say like the franchising, you can maybe think about like what, like McDonald's. It's like like the biggest franchise, I think in like the U.S. And so I'd say with this example, like to buy a McDonald's, you know how like how expensive it is to buy a McDonald's.
I don't know on the top of
No,
my head,
no,
but
no.
yeah.
It's pretty expensive. It's like I think like 1.2 million to like buy your own
Okay.
McDonald's. And so the thing about McDonald's is that I'd say it's it's not easy, but it's hard. So like it's hard to buy McDonald's, but wait, sorry, no, it's easy, but it's hard. So like it's easy to run a McDonald's, but it's hard to get one because it's a lot of money.
Okay.
Like I don't think you and me
Mhm.
together would have enough money to buy a McDonald's. And so,
No. Yeah.
but when it comes to like actually running the McDonald's, it's very simple. You know, um, it comes to like what like you have all the like the little instructions, the ingredients, like how to actually like make that cheeseburger, how to make that burger, and there's a drive-through, so people can literally be in their cars and just order a menu. Like everything's the same. They haven't really made any like significant changes to it, and so you know, it's easy, to teach someone how to run a McDonald's, but it's hard for someone, to actually, teach someone to go buy their own. You need to have the money for that. You can't teach someone, like, oh, hey, you just need to go buy one, but oh, they don't have enough, so it's like, it's kind of hard. But so I'd say like kind of connecting that back to my business is that this business, is I'd say it's pretty simple, but it's not easy because we're people, we have human nature, like, we have emotions, we have life happen to us, we're college students, like we're really busy, we might even work part time. Oh man, like our car tire breaks down. So like we have life, so like yes, this business is pretty simple, there's not that many, hard things to do in this business, but we're people, so like we're not perfect, we like have things that happen to us. But that's like the most I'd say like surface level, like I'd say like maybe definition I can give you about like my business. Just because like I'd say like I usually share more when it comes to like maybe like us meeting maybe for a second time, kind of go to like the business model and like show you kind of like how the business works. But I actually kind of actually wanted to talk a little bit about kind of like the 7 step selection process that we have. So like right now, I'd say for example, this would be like step one. We're just getting to know each other. You got to know me a little bit more. I got to know a little bit more about you. Um, and yeah, very similar to I was just in your shoes at one point. I started my business like 8 to 9 months ago, and I went through the process. It took me like a month and a half, almost 2 months. It took my coach like 2 or 3 weeks. She just like went through the
Wow.
process like that, but that's because she saw the value in it, and she really wanted to to start her own business. But yeah, so I'd say like throughout the selection process, I'd kind of like to to I'd say like maybe like stay in touch with you, but also kind of like send you some material for my mentor Phil, just so you can actually get like a image and maybe like see who he is. I like to maybe send you like an audio, but like it's called Why Entrepreneurship. So he kind of dives deeper into like entrepreneurship, like if this is something you want to kind of do, just to kind of get more knowledge on that topic. But yeah, I mean, like as of now, do you have like any more questions or concerns?
Let me think. I mean, like, was it through your internship or your mentorship you were able to create your business? Like, what was it? How did you feel about like creating it? Because I know you said that it took you like, did you say a month or about like a full? Yeah. So, like, how was that like process? Was it difficult for
Mm.
you to do that?
No, yeah. So I actually like I really appreciate that question, because that's a question that
Mhm.
not most people ask me, but I feel like that's a really good question, to kind of get a reference point. So I'd say for me, it wasn't necessarily hard. I just say it was like a more lack on my part, because I'm gonna tell you something that I wish my business partner told me when I was kind of going through the process. The process is in your hands, so literally like it pretty much going at your speed. So like I'm like not gonna like push you in the process, but like if you want, I'd say like to move on quicker in the process, you can text me, you can shoot me a message, hey Chris, um it was awesome getting to know you. I finished the material, like, when can we meet up again, And so that's something I didn't do. So that's something I delayed on. I would kind of just wait for, like, my business partner to kind of just be like, oh, hey, like, are you, like, done with the material? So he would kind of need to ask me. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I finished it, like, a few days ago. But I've kind of just been waiting for, like, the process. Like, when's the next meeting? But I didn't know that it was in my hands. But I'd say for me, it wasn't necessarily hard. It was just more kind of a lack on, like, my end. I was working full time at the time. It was summer, and so I was taking like 2 summer classes, I remember, and I just had a lot on my plate that summer. I was also working on like this other internship as well. But at the end of the day, I could have probably finished it in like a month, maybe even like before that if I really just put all my time and effort into it. But I was like doing a lot of things at once. I was working full time. I was doing some classes online for college, and then it's summer, so I actually want to go out and have fun and do something like that. But no, yeah, at the end of the day, it took me like a month and a half, but honestly, it was totally worth it, because I was able to do like a lot. I was able to gain a lot, and something that I kind of like to tell everybody is that when you first like start this process, it shouldn't really like interfere with like anything you got going on with like if you work, if you have school, any clubs, things like that. Because right now you're literally just learning about like the business. You haven't like really started anything, but yeah, that's why we kind of have like a 7 step selection process. So people can can like dip their toes in the water to see if this is something like maybe they're interested in, or like something that they want to do. And I usually recommend people, like, yes, people have kind of started and then like, oh, you know what, it's not for me, so they kind of just quit. But something I like highly recommend people is like that you actually kind of stick around to the end, because me, if I share like my own personal experience, I was like halfway through the process of like step 4, and I was like, man, this is becoming too much. Um, my parents and my friends were like, oh, you shouldn't waste your time doing that. And I was like, man, like I already put so much time into it though, like let me just finish it. I talked to my coach and she was like, hey, Chris, like, how are you gonna stop something you haven't even finished yet? And in my mind, I'm like, dang. I was like, nah, like my coach has a point, like, like how am I gonna quit something that I haven't even finished yet? So like I'm already prejudging that, like, this isn't for me. So I'm like, all right, you know what? Let me finish this process, and if it's not for me, then I just won't do it. But if it is, then you know what? Might as well just finish, like, continue doing it. And so, it was for me. I ended up liking it a lot, and not just like for the business, but more because of the mentorship and like the people in here, like actually getting to like know, like my business coach, like she's like an amazing person who's helped me a lot, and also help some of my other business partners. But like I would say mostly like the relationships and like the values I was able to gain from this I'd say like opportunity. But yeah, that kind of like I'd say like concludes everything. I mean, I'm not sure if you have any more questions or concerns, but yeah, I also would like to kind of send you like that material, that video. It's like I think like 50 minutes from my mentor. He kind of just gonna talk about entrepreneurship. And I actually wanted to ask, if there's a better way we can kind of stay in contact, because I'm not sure if you realize it or not, but my LinkedIn, I need to like check it more often, because sometimes I don't look at it for like a day and then I kind of miss it. But I'm a lot more active when it comes to like I say like maybe like just like phone numbers, like just messages. That's something I look at like immediately. But yeah.
Yeah, like it would be great if you could send me that material. I would love to look over that. And yeah, we could do like phone numbers if that works a lot better for you.
Okay.
But I did have like one quick question,
Mhm.
and that was just on the process. Like you said about the selection process is a 7 step um process. So how would that look like? Those like seven
Oh, okay.
steps.
No, yeah. So like yeah, so like the 7 steps. So this is like like the first step. We just got to know each other. And then step 2, we'd kind of show you like the business model, kind of like how it works and like the structure of the business. And then step 3, we'd actually like to maybe invite you to like one of our like in-person meetings. We have like our like little watch party sometimes here in Merced, and like we like reserve a room like either in the library, or somewhere here on campus. Usually like in Granite or in Cathedral. We like have like our weekly Tuesday and Friday meetings. So like maybe we'd invite you to like our Tuesday meeting, where you can kind of like actually see like the name of the company. You see what is it, not the financial plan, but you see like the breakdown. You're able to see like how the money works and how you're able to get compensated in this business. And you also get to meet some of the people in the business as well, like some of my business partners. um, and then I'd say for what step 4, we'd kind of just like follow up with kind of like what you thought about it. Maybe kind of just answer any questions you might have about it. Because usually around that step, people kind of I'd say have questions. Maybe introduce you to my coach as well in step 4, and then we kind of for step 5 kind of show you like the ROI in this business, like the return on investment, and kind of just be able to, what was it? It's the ROI, and kind of just break down to see, like why, kind of like comparing this, like like evaluating this business, kind of like I said, maybe comparing it to other people as well, like other businesses. And then kind of step 6 is we just kind of want to see like I'd say your hash. So when I say hash is like maybe like your humbleness, your appreciativeness, um, your smartness, and not smart like when it comes to like academic smart, but like street smart when it comes to just like just like that. And then also the other H, what is it again? And hungry, kind of like you're like hunger like for knowledge, to see like if you're like actively like wanting to keep learning. And kind of pretty much we're just seeing like like if you're somebody we like to partner up with towards the end. And then step 7 would be like the offer call, where like my coach actually kind of gives you like like the opportunity to actually start your business. But yeah, it's the same thing goes for you. Not just like for me, like my business partners. I want you to also evaluate me, you to evaluate my business partners, to see if we're people you would like to partner up with as well. But pretty much that was kind of like a quick breakdown of like the 7 steps. I am pretty sure, yeah, I'm aware that on the second or third step, we give you like a little breakdown as well to kind of show you where you are in the
Mhm.
process, and we kind of break it down for you a little bit more as well, so you can kind of have like a more clear example, like like where to follow. But yeah, I mean, that was I'm not sure if you have any other questions, comments.
That was perfect. I think you answered them perfectly. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
No, 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 yeah, you're welcome. And I mean, it was awesome, getting to know you and getting to talk to you more. But yeah, I can actually let me see. I can send you my phone number here in the chat, and then you can just send me a message or a comment. I can save your phone number, and then I can send you the material there if you'd like.
I can just message you with that phone number so that you can get mine. I just sent you a message. See if you have that. If I typed it right. Yeah.
Yeah, I just got it.
Okay, perfect.
All right, so let me see. All right, and then I also just sent you the video. Let me know if you can access it, because sometimes people have a little bit of trouble accessing the video. Let me
Yeah, let me get it. Mm, I got access to it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, awesome then. Also I wanted to ask, when's kind of like a good time maybe to like like I'd say like book another time for like our next meeting. I know you said that. I know you have like a few things going on right now when it comes to like
Yeah.
clubs and programs like that. Is like Wednesdays like your like day that you're able to be free, or I think you had other available days as well, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I have Tuesdays, Wednesday before like 1:30 or after like 2, and also Friday before 1:30. If any of those times work for you by any chance. But if not, I can see if there are other times I can work with. Because I just finished like some of my programs like just today actually, so
Oh,
like
oh,
I have more time.
oh, there you
Yeah.
go. Congratulations. I'm happy to hear that.
Thank you.
No, yeah. No, yeah. So, I sent you the material. It's like an hour long video. I'm sure it shouldn't take you so long, but I mean, I kind of wanted to ask you, like, how long do you think it would take you to maybe do, finish the material?
I mean, for sure, I'll be able to finish it like rather quickly. Probably in the next 2 days, I'll for sure get to it. And yeah,
Okay, no, yeah, for sure. So yeah, I know you said that your free days is also Friday. If you're able to maybe finish the video, maybe we can set up a meeting to meet on Friday. If not, maybe next Tuesday or Wednesday. But yeah, we can kind of just stay in touch there. And it was awesome speaking to you today.
so much. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to talk with me. Yeah,
No,
right. Yeah, Friday sounds good.
yeah, yeah, for sure, sounds good. Then yeah, we can stay in touch. And yeah, I'll see you on campus and say hi to you.
Right, yeah, of
All
course.
right.
Yeah, thank you so much again.
No,
Yeah,
yeah,
I really appreciate it. Yeah,
likewise. I join. You have a good rest of your day, then. All right. Bye bye.
yeah, you too. Bye.
WMG1.